Please like and subscribe if you watch us and you haven't subscribed yet. Appreciate it. Ankalaev versus Pereira 2. I like this card when I looked up at it today. It's just a tough fight. We'll get into it later with Pereira, but I'm interested to see what adjustments he makes. But before we get to this main card, like always, any other fights you want to point out on this card?
Oh yeah, there's some exciting fighters on the prelims. You got Austin Vanderford's back. He's on the prelims. Veronica Hardy, never mad at watching her fight. Patchy Mix is on like the early prelims, fighting a guy that doesn't have a picture on the UFC website. So hopefully he can get it together and get a win. And we like him here. Edmund Shavazian is also on the prelims. So.
Yeah, fun.
But this whole main card is fantastic. So let's get started here. Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer.
Yes, the actual Magomedov. So in the first fight, Moose is 28-6-1. This guy's got 14 knockouts, 8 subs, 6 decisions. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's 4-2 in the UFC. He's had 1 performance a night. Joe Pyfer, 14-3, 9 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions. He's 5-1 in the UFC with 3 performances a night. Joe's got power. This is an interesting matchup for him. I like Joe Pyfer. I want to believe he's the kind of guy that's going to keep making improvements, and he sounds like he's such a nerd and loves this sport for this sport. So I'm going to say I'm going to keep the Joe Pyfer hype train going, and I think there's going to be some fireworks early on anyway, and I think Joe's going to knock him out in round 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if Magomedov could win this fight either way. And anyway, too, by the way, decision, sub, knockout. So I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm going to go with Joe.
Yeah, I expect Abus to fight pretty intelligently, knowing where Pyfer's dangerous, but he will engage in the striking. So I think Pyfer will connect at some point and put him out. I'm with you. I'm going to say late in round 2, a KO for Joe.
All right. Pretty much agreement there.
Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Zalal.
Zalal was 17-5, 4 KOs, 9 subs, 4 decisions. He's 10-3-1 in the UFC. He's won 7 in a row. Emmett is 10-6, 7 KOs, 2 subs, 10 decisions, but he's lost 3 out of his last 4. He's had performance night twice, fight a night 3 times, most knockdowns in UFC featherweight history. Emmett has just got that power. He's just hasn't fought consistently over the last couple of years. He's had injuries and stuff too. And the other thing with Emmett is, though, on the plus side is, even though you look at him and he's lost 3 out of those 4, he's fighting some of the best competition and he's always got that power. So he's dangerous. However, just looking at momentum and not trying to pick with my heart all the time, I'm going to go with Yusuf here, but I'm going to say it's decision.
Yeah, I don't know what the odds are on this fight, but this is definitely Zalal's toughest opponent by far. He's got 7 wins in a row, but no one near the level of Josh Emmett. So I think he's going to have a very hard time taking Josh down, and I don't think he can deal with Josh's power on the feet. So I'm going to pick Josh by KO round 3. Possible fight of the night contender. Yeah. Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Roundtree Jr.
I feel like this is guaranteed fireworks. Khalil Roundtree Jr., 14-6-1, 9 KOs, no subs, none needed, 5 decisions, and he's won 6 out of his last 7. Performance tonight 4 times, fight at night once. This guy against Alex Pereira, the former champ, by the way, and I think that's the note. He was, he took the former champ to the limit. Roundtree's a guy that, if he shows up and everything's right, he's very dangerous. Prohaska, though, 31-5-1, 27 KOs, 3 subs, 1 decisions, 2-2 in the last 4 fights. Both those losses to Alex Pereira. So these guys do have a common opponent that they both struggled with. He's a former UFC light heavyweight champion, though. Fight a night twice, performance a night 4 times. So Prohaska's been there. The thing with Prohaska is he's so awkward. He's throwing crazy stuff. He's working on things, and that's what makes him a wild card. And so it's like, given the success Prohaska has, where he's been the champ and everything like that, I kind of favor him a little bit, but I can also just see where he could open himself up to getting caught here. I think this is a very close fight. I kind of favor Prohaska, but that being said, I think I'm going to pick Roundtree. I'm going to go 3rd round knockout, but I think someone's going out in this fight.
Yeah, like I said, possible fight of the night contender. Giant fan of both guys. So far, Alex has been the only one to truly give Yuri problems, but I think Khalil's been getting so much better every every fight, especially between his title shot and his dismantling of Jamal Hill. Like, that was a great performance he had last time. So I'm expecting a real war that could go either way, but I'm leaning towards Roundtree. I think he'll be intelligent and game. So I'll say TKO round 2.
Okay.
First title fight of the night, bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen.
Corey Sandhagen, 18-5, 8 KOs, 3 subs, 7 decisions. He's won 4 out of his last 5. Fight of the night 2 times, performance of the night 3 times. Merab, the machine, 20-4, 3 KOs, 2 subs, 15 decision wins, 13 fight win streak. He's the current bantamweight champion. He's tied Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw for second most consecutive title defenses in bantamweight division history. Performance of the night twice, fight of the night twice, and he's had the most unanimous decision wins in UFC bantamweight history. I like Corey Sandhagen. I know you want him to win this fight because you're a big Corey fan. I am with you. I can't do it. I can't get my head around it. It's not against Corey. Like, I can see Corey. He's got the capabilities of catching Merab, submitting Rob. But until somebody slows this crazy animal down at this point, I'm picking Merab by decision. Because he's just insanity. I don't know. Every time I think something's going to happen and someone has the answer to Merab, and I don't even think necessarily like I favor anybody at Merab at this point, but I think, oh, this guy's going to catch him. It's in the air. I've given up on that. When it happens, it happens. It'll happen. But until it happens, I'm calling Merab.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Corey, and think of anyone in the division, he has the best chance to beat Merab. He's the most well-rounded. He has the highest fight IQ. He's adaptable and unconventional, and he's a finisher in all aspects of MMA. But Merab's cardio and relentless takedowns are just some kind of superpower that can't be stopped. Plus Merab is supremely confident after becoming champ, and he has also been vastly improving in the striking. So I love both guys. I'm rooting for Corey because I badly want to see him get UFC gold, but I'm with you. I just have to pick Merab by decision. I just think odds-wise, statistically, chances are Merab, wins a decision. And the only reason you would pick Corey is because it's MMA and anything can happen, and there's so many variables. And, in 100 fights, he might catch him, a few times with some of these crazy things he does. But overall, just relentless cardio and grappling is going to win Merab the majority of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, so far I think we're pretty much in agreement on this card with the exception of the Emmett fight, but I think we both want a lot of these different guys to win. Yeah. But that brings us to our main event where I feel like, again, I'm kind of in a similar boat.
Yeah, it might be a sad night for us here. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2.
Alex Pereira, he's 12-3, 10 KOs, 2 decisions. Former UFC light heavyweight champion, 3 successful title defenses, shortest time and fewest bouts to win championships in 2 divisions in UFC history. He's a former UFC middleweight champion as well. And he's the first and only fighter to win the middleweight and light heavyweight championship. Performance of the night 5 times. Highest significant strike performance in UFC history. This guy is just excitement personified. I mean, you read those championship credentials and I just go back 12-3, 15 MMA fights. It's just incredible. But Magomed Ankalaev, he had his kryptonite last time. He's 21-1-1, 10 KOs, 10 decisions. He's the current UFC light heavyweight champion. Performance of the night 4 times. So Magomed, if you look at that performance tonight 4 times, he is capable of some exciting performances, but he's also capable of being a blanket, saying, to hell with you. I don't care if this is exciting. I'm going to do what I have to do to win. And I think we kind of saw that when he won the title from Pereira. It's and not to even say that it's super boring, but he's going to do what he has to do, make it ugly. And then if it is going to get exciting, it's going to get exciting because now he's beating up your guy who's worn down and tired for everything he's doing. It's interesting to note common opponents like Blachowicz, who Pereira had a win over, but that was a fight where I think we talked about in the past. I thought you could have argued Blachowicz won it and, it was a close fight. And then that's a fight that, Ankalaev had a draw with Blachowicz, right? So it's styles make fights. And I just don't think Pereira has a great style for Magomed Ankalaev. That being said, him and Glover, the improvements they've made in MMA, when you look at their fight history, I don't have any doubt in the world that they are making all kinds of adjustments like anybody. but there is something special about Alex Pereira. He does make leaps and bounds over everybody. I want to pick him so bad that he's going to catch, Ankalaev with some kind of knockout or something. And I know if he does, that the UFC is going to not give Magomed Ankalaev a title shot.
Oh, no, they're putting him at the bottom of the list after that.
Catches him like, oh, you got knocked out. I don't know what to tell you. Offense, run along. It's tough because I want to go with my heart on this one too, but this one, it makes a little more sense because Pereira is so dangerous with his hands. Instead, I'm going to pick Magomedov, but I'm going to do it in a superstitious way where I'm going to hope that Alex Pereira knocks him out in round 2. But I'll go Magomed Ankalaev decision for a night of sadness.
There are a lot of rumors that Alex was dealing with multiple serious injuries going into the last fight.
Oh,
like a foot and a knee, and his hand was broken, and he was sick, and all these issues and stuff. And that could all be true and have affected him greatly. But also, like, Ankalaev didn't really use any of his wrestling in the last fight. He kind of beat Alex on the feet. And so if he mixes in the takedowns this time and keeps Alex guessing, I think he beats him again. Obviously, Alex has that power shot that can put anyone out, and I hope that happens. I'm with you. Obviously, he's a great counter striker, and that could happen at any moment. But I'm going to go with Ankalaev by decision. I think that's probably just the smart money bet. So,
yeah, absolutely.